All right, guys, welcome to another special edition of Bourbon and Boxing, man. Once again, it's your host, the Chef Jeff, baby, our dude, Big Spade, and our special guest, Jack Kelly, guys. Jack is with what's your? I messed it up yesterday. I want to apologize for that. I called it IFL. It's I in the ring, or
Inside the ropes, yeah, ITR.
it's inside the
So,
ropes. Yeah, yeah. It's a on YouTube, man. You guys can catch it on there. It's really nice, man. We wanted to bring Jack on the show. He doesn't just talk boxing. He does boxing also. He lives inside. If you check him out, man, he does documentaries. He writes. He does anything to do with boxing. A true avid boxing fan, man. So we brought him on to let him kind of tell you guys about his journey a little bit. I got Big Spades on here, and we'll also get to some of those fights later on with the Anderson fight and get everybody's opinion on that too. But hey, Big Spade, how'd your day going?
Man, it's cool, man. Beautiful outside. Summer about to kick off. I'm chilling, relaxing.
That's it. How about you, Jack?
I'm doing good. I appreciate y'all for having me on. Like I said, the Big Spade. I enjoy watching you guys, but it's cool to kind of be on the other side of things now and be featured on. So I appreciate y'all for having me.
Yeah, yeah. Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for coming on, man. You're our second guest we've had, so like we put it as goals this year to try to bring people in, take the show to a little bit different level, start doing more interviews, talking to people, especially give people a platform like yourself, up and coming. Like we're up and coming ourselves, so we want to let everybody that's up and coming kind of use our show like a platform to propel themselves or talk about what's going on with them and their journey. So go ahead and start, Jack, man. Tell us, I know you got a fight coming up May 25th, but tell us about your journey to get to that point.
Yeah, so it's kind of been a crazy journey. A few kind of bumps in the road along the way, but yeah, my first amateur fight is going to be May 25th. Got in a boxing gym on and off. I've been on and off training for a couple of years now. I was, as I mentioned to you, pre-show, I was played a lot of sports growing up. I played baseball and basketball when I was younger. Played football in high school. Played football in college for a little bit. Then I messed up my ankle pretty bad. Ended up leaving school for a year. I wasn't sure exactly kind of what I wanted to do with school and everything. So I wanted something to do to kind of pass the time. So I went to one of my boys was going to a local boxing gym. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it out. Went up there kind of a little bit, and then I liked it. I been training on and off. Like I said, a few things, life things have came up. I last year was kind of getting ready to fight. Then I had a hematoma in my kidney actually, so I was out of the gym for about 8 months. I was in the hospital for a week from that, but I'm fully recovered now from that. So been back since about November. So I've had about 5 months of training. So May 25th is the date, and I'm excited. I'm ready to go. So I'm just blessed and fortunate enough to have great people around me too. They always say there's a difference between trainers and teachers, and I've been fortunate enough to have boxing teachers around me to teach me the fundamentals, teach me the right way. And May 25th, I'm hoping to show y'all everything that I've learned and then some.
Oh yeah, Big Spade, we were talking about that yesterday, man. The difference in having a good corner man, a good trainer in your corner, and Spade was mentioning Tiger Johnson's trainer, who's going to be training with he's training with Big Baby Anderson
Yeah,
too.
Prentice Brewer.
Yeah, yeah, and he was saying that people really like the way he talks to kind of guides his guy while he's in the ring, man. So it really makes a big difference to have somebody like that to guide you in the ring. Just kind of like Big Spade, man. He guided his son a lot, and his dad guided him. You know, in the boxing, he's kind of like you guys. You guys work out, do all that. I try to work out, man. I stay in enough shape to where I don't die. You know what I mean? I'm not over shape. I'm not fat out of weight, but I'm like, just enough to, keep my arms looking good, and my wife interested in me. But yeah. So who's the guy you're fighting, and how did it come about that you decided, hey, not only just to train in boxing, but you really wanted to take it to the level of stepping in the ring, man?
Yeah, so part of that was it's always kind of interests me. From the beginning, though, I wasn't sure how realistic it was. I mean, I'm someone who got into a boxing gym in my 20s, so realistically, I was like, I'm a late starter. You hear those stories, a lot of those guys are heavyweight guys who kind of get on the big stage, and I'm not nearly close to that yet, but I've always said that whatever that ceiling is, I want to try to reach it. I feel like in other sports, I've had untapped potential that I haven't been able to kind of tap into it all the way. In football, I was a good football player in high school. Nothing great, but I was a grinder. I was someone who worked really hard. And in college, it started to all kind of really click for me. going into my sophomore year, I felt really, really good. I was a lot heavier, just I was playing defensive end, but everything was starting to kind of figure itself out. But then I got hurt, and I was never able to kind of reach the heights that I wanted to reach. So I figure boxing is a great opportunity for me to kind of do that. But the dude I'm fighting, he's I think he's 1-1, so he's got 2 fights going on. And we've been traveling for sparring recently. So my two coaches, Josh Fippen and Cliff Fippen, and they're great trainers too. Like I said, they've been around the game for 30, 40 years, so they know they've seen it all. But we started to travel to other gyms for sparring. We went to this place, the Nolan Brothers Gym in Waltham, Massachusetts. We sparred up there, just went in with other guys who had had a few fights, and held my own enough that one of the trainers there is having an amateur show May 25th. So he asked if any of us would be interested in being on. So my coach set me up for that, and that's the story with that. So hopefully it's one step in a big long journey, but I'm taking it step by step and taking everything as serious as possible. So
Now
One
they
thing I
consider
could
this.
say, one thing I
No,
could
go ahead.
say
Go ahead.
about being a late bloomer, I feel like your mind conscious enough to know like the discipline of what you're trying to do and what you want to do. Like far as a kid, starting off from a kid, you don't understand the discipline, but you learn it throughout the journey of boxing. But as far as being older and starting late, you know the discipline. As far as a kid, you learn the discipline. But it's like, man, Dad, I don't want to go to the gym today. As far as being a late, starting late, you like, man, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta grind. One little mess up and I can get clipped, hurt, or anything. So I feel like it's a bittersweet with that starting late because you know the discipline, depending on your age bracket. Like you 16, 17 and up, and you just now starting boxing, you realize the discipline. Like as a kid, like 7, 8, you don't really know it. You just know this is something you can do. This is what you're doing. This is a sport you're doing. Like, but starting off, I feel like starting off late, then you understand the discipline more. Because I always tell myself, I always wanted to box because my daddy boxed. So I was like, man, if I was a boxer and I had this discipline, like, because I work out and run miles and I ain't in no type of sporting activity. If I would have put this discipline in boxing, probably 10 years ago when I was like 20 or something, I probably could have did something. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I understand. It's a
yeah,
bittersweet with that.
yeah, it's definitely easier to hold myself accountable too. And I've
Yeah,
had great coaches even in my
yeah.
life. Like my dad would always coach me in basketball and baseball growing up, and then I had some great football coaches. This guy Mike Williams in the city of Brockton was just helped us work out and helped us get ready for high school and college football. So those guys kind of instilled a certain work ethic in me. It's
Hmm.
just been passed along to my trainers, who, like I said, Cliff Fippen, and then his son Josh Fippen now run the gym that I'm out of now, and they've been around, especially Cliff. He's been around a long time. He used to run. His right hand man was Vinny Vecchione back in the day. So in this area, they kind of made a lot of big fights. Like they made helped make the Peter McNeely Mike Tyson fight. They've had a bunch of other guys who have fought Larry Holmes, Paul Poirier, Roberto Duran. So they've been around the game a long time. So I always tell them, hey, if they tell me what I need to do to get ready, I'm going to make sure to do that. I've been fortunate enough to have them, and then I've been lucky enough now to train alongside some pros a little bit at Boston too. Mark DeLuca, who I know really well, is a former fighter who's also a trainer now. So I've been able to try to train, and even when I had the kidney problem, I was up with those guys doing media stuff. So Abraham Nova, a guy who I've gotten to know really, really well. So his last 2 camps have been around those guys, and seeing those guys, the work they put in shows me that even on off days, whatever, if no one's watching me, to say, okay, I can push myself a little bit more. Kind of seeing those
Hmm.
guys and seeing what they do has kind of showed me, okay, shows me kind of the level I can push myself to, and it's definitely helped me out with that for sure. Also,
Hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's the type of mentality you have to have in a sport like boxing. You know what I
you
mean?
got
You
no
can have
choice, that's
day
for
off
sure.
and it costs you your career. And that's it's crazy to think that, but we were talking like Devin Haney, these guys, they live in the gym, that dedication, and that's what I think really separates guys like Devin Haney from Ryan Garcia, who has all the ability, all the physical ability to be just like a Devin or anybody else, a top guy. But the difference is one guy just lives in the gym. And not saying Ryan doesn't, but you just kind of see like he has that life outside of boxing, and Devin's whole life is boxing. So it's like that discipline to say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I love. And you know, with you, it's not easy either because you know you're going to school, you're writing, you know, you're doing shows. You know, you got your Catch and Counter show. That you know it's a really good show. Guys, tune into that. But so you got a lot stacked up on your plate, but you seem to be pretty disciplined as far as how you know manage to do it. You came in with us today on a Saturday, your day off, you know, to give us an interview. So you know,
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. And yeah, my days are kind of just, I joke and say that they're on repeat, but I'll wake up, I'll kind of go to class most days, and some days I'll have work later on. Like I said, I work in the city of Brockton, an after school program. Then I go to the gym, then I go home and either do, like you said, a show or I do writing or homework. I go to bed and I reset every weekday basically. So working on the weekends too. So it's good though. It keeps me disciplined. It kind of keeps me on the
Mm-hmm.
right track of life and everything too. So
Mm-hmm. It's
there's much
called
worse things I could be doing with my life. So I'll take it.
grinding.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Ain't nothing wrong with your life being a repeat. You get what you want.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Cause
people
Exactly.
once
get bored
you
with
might
that, and they
step
try to
outside
stay off.
out that boundary and something might go wrong. So it's always good to know what you're gonna be doing the next day instead of what I'm gonna be doing tomorrow.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So,
for sure.
Heck yeah. Big Spade, man, you got anything you want to add to the interview before we go into talking about this? I want to definitely talk about Jack with this Anderson, Big Baby Anderson fight coming up, and then also the fight we got with the Jordan Gill going on. Pretty much, I think that'll start here soon around 5 o'clock or so. I think. Anything you
uh,
want to add? Any
nah,
questions?
I was just gonna. So what age did you start training?
So if I'm 24 now, and it hasn't been a
Oh, you
conflict, I think
24 now?
probably like 21 then. And like I said, I would have some
Oh,
time. I
okay.
would work out for a few months. Something would come up in life. I'd take some time off, and
Yeah.
then. But I've kind of been at it on and off for a couple years. But I think if you added all the time total, probably about almost a year now. Probably about a
Oh,
year.
for
Yeah.
real? Oh, that's what's
Yeah.
up, bro.
Mhm.
That's what's up. It's so crazy, man. Because Twan, my boy Twan, he had brought him on as he a late bloomer too, though. So he working grind. The same similar situation. That's crazy. He'd take time off doing like coach working, but he nice like, but he a late bloomer too. But he would be fine a little older. He probably like 29, about to be 30. But I done been to amateur fights with him where he done won, where he done fought pros from Cincinnati. We got a lot of. If you ever get a chance, try to get some work out of Cincinnati too, man. We got some great great boxers here, but you could catch a lot of work, and that's Ohio. Period. Just Ohio, the bloodline of boxing. Like, it's you know what I mean. It's the one capital too.
Yeah.
It's somewhere you want
That
to get some work at. But
that was
yeah,
one thing I wanted to kind of figure out. What's it like in New York? Because that boxing scene in New York is unreal too.
yeah,
And Cincinnati was designed off of New York,
yeah.
metropolitan city, completely designed just like it, almost mocking New York, the style of it, but just smaller. How's that being up around that area, having those, like being able to get some of those connections, or is it hard to get into those gyms up there, or do you have to know somebody to get into that crowd? And
Yeah, so it's actually like the New England area, like the Massachusetts area. So when I say I know
oh,
Abraham, obviously Abraham is from Albany, but he's relocated to the Boston area now, and that's where he trains. But it's kind of a whole little community, which I like. It's kind of like everybody knows everybody. So it's
Mm,
normally pretty good. So I know somebody, I go to a gym, I'll spar somebody, oh, they know this person, they know that person. So it's pretty cool. So I've been
mm.
fortunate enough through media and then through training to know a lot of the pros in the area, know some of the trainers in the area and stuff too. So it's a good little community. So you never know who you're gonna fight coming
Right.
up, so you want to always be careful with that. But it's
Yeah.
pretty.
yeah,
Everyone's always pretty dope, and it's a lot of good people in this industry. So I appreciate everyone for
okay.
sure.
Yeah. Uh,
So if you could give me and Spade some advice, man, we want to start going into these gyms and doing interviews. Should we contact ahead of time, not just walk into any gym? Because I feel like you have to be invited into gyms sometimes, man, and not just like an open door policy, And I know you've got experience with, doing interviews. Abraham Nova, great little documentary you did on him for his fight, stuff like that. Like, how did you go about reaching out to these guys and getting those contacts the way you did? Did you just go for it? And
Yeah, so mine was partly just from because Mark DeLuca, who's his head trainer, who he was a very good boxer too. He still kind of fights here and there, but he's fought Kell Brook, he's fought other guys. He's been ranked a top 10 guy at 154, fights at 160 now. But I've known him a bit just because he's came up to my gym, so he's helped me train a little bit and stuff. This was about maybe a year and a half ago. So once I was out of commission for a little bit, I reached out to him. And just I saw him at a local fight and kind of touched base with him. But I'd say the best advice I'd say is definitely to reach out to those people ahead of time. Kind of show them your platform, kind of give them the idea so they kind of know what to expect before you put your foot in the door. so they kind of know what to expect and kind of feel a certain comfort level with you. So because I met Abraham at a local card last January, I think. Then by the time I stepped into the gym, I didn't really know him yet, but you kind of get around and talk to those guys, and now I know him pretty well. I know all those guys pretty well. So I'd say the biggest advice is, like I said, just kind of show them what your vision is, what your plan is. Show them kind of just that, because there's a lot of people who I'm trying to think the word is it. There's a lot of people who have ulterior motives or just kind of don't
Yeah,
go about it the right way, look for clickbait or kind of look to make
yeah,
people look bad and stuff like that. So I think kind of just
yeah,
establish what you're trying to do, show them your platform and stuff like that, kind of give them a vision. And I'm sure the good thing too is that fighters are all they all really enjoy the attention too. So they all like when someone's reaching out to them, especially depending on where you go. It might not be like I was lucky because Abraham is a big time fighter, but he was still so gracious and doing all these different things with me, coming on my show and doing these things. But a lot of the local guys have never had people reach out to them before, so they're that much more likely to kind of jump on those kind of things. So I think, like I said, as long as you just kind of reach out and explain what you want to do, I'm sure people will accept you guys with open arms.
okay, okay. And I know my guy Spade, he's got some connection in some of the gyms around here, and he's going to definitely help us with some of that kind of stuff. But our whole platform base is just, man, give attention to boxing and nothing but good attention. Bringing up like I am big about boxing reform and fixing the sport of boxing for the better of boxing, man. That is one thing I advocate for very hard. I've got 2 or 3 shows just based on fixing the sport of boxing, making it more like an NFL type league, a Major League Baseball type league. And people think it's impossible to do that. I don't think it is. I just think it would take time to really change a sport like this because you got to get rid of a lot of the bad to bring in what could possibly be. I think it all starts with a fighter union. It's simple as that. Just like any sport, NFL, nothing got accomplished until they unionized as players. Just the same way as fighters, if they really want that to unionize and change the sport, and it's got to start with them as fighters. But that's the type of stuff we advocate for on here, and we just want to give people up and coming a platform just like us. Let them use our station as a way to advertise what they got going on and talk about themselves and nothing but good, especially for the city of Cincinnati. We want to bring a lot of these amateurs the attention they deserve. My guy Spade wants to get into the youth boxing side of it so that really get these the youth side of boxing. And, that's all. Just nothing but good. Uh, I'm a little more about.
Your mic going out.
No, isn't. All right, out of there. My kid was underneath that freaking table bouncing it around. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, all right. But what do you got to add, Big Spade?
Yeah, man. I just, you know, like you said, you already said it though. I feel like I just got to reach out, man. You know my situation right now, but once I'm freely move around freely, we gonna get popping though. But um, I wanted to ask like the promotion on like what's a good way to promote how what's the best way for us to promote our show, our brand? Like what's a good way to promote it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me is I've kind of gone off of this side a little bit, but I think Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it now, I think is a good thing to use. That's how I first got my writings. I was just writing by myself, and that's how this ITR platform kind of found me was through that. Somebody or like a friend of a friend had kind of shared my stuff with them, and that's how I got set up. So there's a lot of trolls, a lot of silly ass people on
Oh
there,
yeah, yeah.
but it's still but there's a good hardcore community fan base of boxing because the one thing that was funny with me is when I first started to get into boxing, I didn't know like how many people were really hardcore boxing fans because you can't walk down the street anymore and see like okay this person knows about like you said Jordan Gill against Zelfa Barrett. People just don't know. People don't even know about Jared Anderson and most things like that this
Right.
day and age now. So it was cool to kind of see that there's a community of people out there, and that made me see like okay like I can kind of post these things out there because people will actually care about them. They'll read them and they'll share them and stuff like that. So I say that Twitter is there's a lot of bad that comes with it, but it's helped me kind of grow my platform, and I kind of try to focus on the good instead of the bad with it too, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Boxing definitely has some of the worst fans, man.
Hmm.
A lot of
Yeah.
rivals, man.
A
Like
lot of
guys get
biased people. you
Well,
know,
yeah, and like to me,
boxing.
it's a worldwide sport. A lot of bias, a lot of the Mexican crowd sticks with the Mexican fighters hardcore. They don't dwell from it like Canelo's the greatest ever, and you can't tell them that he should fight Benavidez. It doesn't matter what he's done, he should fight Benavidez. They don't want to hear it. He has a right to do what he wants, and you don't tell them. They'll flood you. Like I'll go in there, I make comments, and they will flood me. I have 200 something responses from all
Yeah.
Spanish guys that are, oh, you're an idiot. You don't know shit. I'm like, whatever, man. Like, but yeah, that's what I love about boxing being so worldwide that you can, I've got friends over in the UK, I've got friends in Indonesia, all from boxing, just a boxing community from where they either watch the show or we became friends online. I met Jack through Facebook group, Sports Unfiltered, which I denounced myself from that group. I stayed with the other one, man. It was just too much bullshit. Like every day,
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, man, I don't want no part of that. I just want it to be about sports, man. Keep it about sports. That's what I try to do with Bourbon and Boxing on Facebook too. Is just keep it about sports and keep it real. You know what I mean? And don't bring, like too much Floyd and Pacquiao talk sometimes. On other sites where that's all they talk about. And it's like, look, man, that's over with. Let's give the current guys the attention that
Man,
they deserve.
new
Give these.
generation.
What's that?
I said it's a new generation.
Yeah, yeah, sick. And that's just like with the Jordan LeBron debate. It's like
Yeah.
we love Jordan, but just let LeBron play his career.
And you know
Let
what's
him, and stop all these old heads hating on the young heads hating on the old heads, and it's
man,
silly at this point, man.
that's crazy. And you crazy though, because I once Floyd left, retired, my uncle was yeah, I left. Dang, I still though I came up in the Florida area, I'm still in this area. But it's like them extra fights I never watched. I ain't branched out to generation. What they was doing, new fighters is. You know, some people call that like, oh, they still fight and don't get the young guys, and get to know them and knowing who's gonna be the next great. It's always a great coming after the great. Never go just be one great. Oh, he was the greatest. No, another great player or a boxer or whatever. This it might not be stipulations that the great did, but be a great one. Gone. So you got to like you got to get it. You got to upcoming people. You got to give everybody a chance, man. It ain't about what this guy did. Yeah, he. You know what I'm saying? That's just like problem with Floyd saying he was the best ever. So Muhammad Ali, no, he's the greatest. Right? It's two different terminologies. Best ever, the greatest of all, two different terminations. Like, so
Mhm.
use Muhammad Ali. He used his own. He came up just like Larissa. She the quote. She ain't. You know what I'm saying? She came up with her own quote of somebody that come after her with their own. It ain't no debate. Debate.
Oh,
Can't debate the great man. I just feel like you can do that, especially in different.
no, no.
So,
Uh, Yeah, all right, man. Let's jump in. We're talking about young, great guys, man. Of course, tonight we're gonna get to see Abdullah Mason. Very big fan of Mason, man. I think he's way past the level, but I love his activity. But I think he's way past the level of the guys that he's fighting right now. And I'm definitely, we talked about him and maybe a Keyshawn Davis down the road. I think that would be a banger of a fight, but definitely excited to see him tonight come in, man. What's your thoughts about Abdullah Mason, Jack?
I think he's got, and I talked about it a bit yesterday, but he's got everything. If you had a checklist for a future star, I think he checks every single box that you got. Talk about boxing IQ, speed, power, footwork, and also just the maturity. He's only 20 years old, but he carries himself like he's a vet already. That's the most impressive thing that I've seen, I think, with him, and then also with Emiliano Vargas, Fernando Vargas' son. They're both
Yeah.
when we first saw them both on top, like they were both teenagers, but they both carry themselves a certain type of way. And I think that that's why Abdullah. I think that's why part of the reason you say you guys want to see him step up too is because he shows that maturity, he shows the talent, and all those things. And I always understand when you get a 20-year-old, you kind of want to be careful on the trajectory because you know it's a marathon and it's not a sprint. But I do think that he's ready for at least a little bit of steps up going forward too because he shows, like I said, check every single box possible. Abdullah Mason's that guy.
Yeah, yeah. I have to agree, man. Big fan of his. Of course, my guy here. What do you call him? Floyd Mayweather, the next Floyd.
The
Big
pretty boy
Spade.
Floyd. Not
Pretty boy.
money, not money. The pretty boy Floyd.
Yeah, there's two different guys, Money
Yeah,
Floyd
it's
and Pretty
different.
Boy. Pretty Boy was whooping
Yeah,
everybody's ass.
it's
Money was
two.
about the money.
Pretty boy, he was coming to kill. He was coming to take your head off. Money May, he dissect. He used his weakness, your strengths against you, dissect that, and the pretty boy was killed, man. He was coming to
Yeah.
kill, and
All right.
I get that out of that dude.
Oh yeah. Uh, and of course tonight, man, Big Baby Anderson. Of course, I like. Uh, I I I disagree with your guy Nibs. I know he faced some adversity, but Martin needs a little bit more respect. Martin's a tough veteran fighter, and with the biggest flaw that I saw in Big Baby Anderson going into that fight was, of course, the lean back that he does opens him up for that overhand jab all day, every day. And that's
Hmm.
exactly what that fighter is going to do. He's going to showcase that. He's going to find that flaw and he's going to utilize it. And that's what Martin did. But I think the adversity that Anderson showed to, bounce back from that punch and to continue to go forward and not, fall down from it. But I think his other issue was also looking at the clock. Don't know why he tends to have that habit to look at the clock. It got him caught at the very end of that fight against Martin too, doing that saying he looked up and then pow got caught, stunned him too. But got stunned two times. I think that's the kind of test he truly did need. Uh, as far as him going back to fighters that aren't on the Martin level or are not better than Martin has a lot to do with top rank, man. They just don't they baby their prospects for 20, 25 fights really before they really want to put them in, before they really dare to put them in with anybody good, in my opinion. Well, Big Spade, what do you think? I know you love Anderson being from this area.
Uh, said the lean back, but I feel like now that you say that, he fighting like the guy he's fighting that fight is smaller than the guy he fought his last fight. So I feel like he can use the lean back against him, just the reach would
Mhm.
fall short. But as you fighting a bigger fighter, I don't feel like you should lean back. And like I said once before, he should have stayed in that southpaw position because he wasn't getting that power shot. He took it.
We lost Big Spade. There you go. Get back. Yeah, it looks like we lost Spade. All right, he's probably gonna pop back on for some reason. Come back on here. Go ahead. What do you think, Kelly, about our guy Anderson, man?
Yeah, as you know, obviously I said it yesterday, I still think the world of Jared is a talent. I think he's similar kind of to Abdullah in a heavyweight body, but he's got everything. He's got a good jab. I was impressed in the Martin fight
I'm
when after
back,
he
y'all.
was
My
around.
bad.
There we go. He's back at it.
I'm back, man. My bad.
All right, but go ahead, Jack. Say what you were saying about, and then we'll get back to you, Big Spade.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was just saying, but just the jab of Jared has impressed me. Even like you said in the Martin fight, when he faced some adversity, he went back in that seventh round and strictly beat him with just the jab. So that shows a certain level of discipline in the heavyweight division. I do see what you guys mean about the pulling straight back. It's a thing that for taller guys, me being a taller guy myself, they tell us to kind of you got to be careful with that at times. I know my guy Dakota from ITRboxing has also said that Jared's been able to get away with it, like Spade was saying, against these smaller guys. But you look at the modern heavyweights, a lot of them are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". So it's something you want to be careful with. But I mean, just the blend he has of speed and power, and just especially his boxing ability. And I think tonight's a big night for him because I think he can show out and have one of those star kind of making performances once again and kind of remind everyone exactly who the hell Jared Anderson is.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. And Big Spade, go ahead with what you were saying about him, man.
Oh no, I was saying I like his athletic, not athleticism, like where he can go from southpaw to orthodox And in that fight, when he was orthodox, he took dude's strength away. He took his power punch away. But when he went back orthodox and was leaning back, that's when he clipped him.
Mhm.
And I felt like he should have stayed orthodox. And I seen him question somebody asked him what way should he go, and he went back orthodox, and that's when he got hurt again. But if you watch the fight and if you go back, plain view, when he was fighting dude Southpaw, couldn't land that. He couldn't land that. Yeah, Southpaw, he couldn't land that punch at all. That same punch he clipped him with, he wasn't there for it. But yeah, the lean back though, I feel like he don't need to use that. Even when he fight a bigger fighter, just stay up on him. You know what I'm saying? Use your jab, work yourself in, and stay up on them. Don't fight. Don't give them the reach advantage where they can land that long punch because it's easier for them to land that punch because you're smaller than them. Even though you're a bigger heavyweight to most heavyweights, probably still don't want to get a next bigger guy that's bigger than you to reach advantage. So you'll want to stay up under that. You know what I'm
Yeah. And I don't really want to look much past the guy that he's fighting tonight. I don't know a whole lot about him because boxing, anything can happen. But to look forward with Jared Anderson, the one guy that popped in my head yesterday outside of we talked. Jack mentioned that him and Efe are with the same promoter, so it might be hard to actually make that fight happen. Our same manager, so make it hard for them to make that fight happen, which I think would be a good challenge for him. But then I thought of Torres Jr., who's also with Top Rank. He's got a fight coming up May 18th. He's worked on his footwork, his speed, and he looked a lot better in his last fight. He didn't look just like a bruiser going forward, just trying to throw a heavy punch. I think another fight, him looking like that, matching him up against a guy like Anderson, two big up and coming, like kind of to eliminate that top rank, who's the top guy in top rank. I would think he would have to fight Torres Jr., which would on paper be a good fight, I think. With both of them, I don't think Torres Jr. He's not had his chin checked yet, but he hasn't really fought anybody of that level. He keeps kind of fighting cab drivers, so we say. So it's like it's hard for me to gauge where he's at, but I think Anderson's athleticism would probably get the better. But what do you guys think about that fight if he did fight a Torres Jr.?
I'm really not fond of Torres Jr. But I always said for if he wanted to step up fight Andy Ruiz, that'd be a good step up fight for him. If he really want to be like, yeah, I'm on this level now. You know what I'm saying? That don't fight nobody that's up and coming with you. Fight somebody that been on that stage, won on that stage, and lost on that stage. That's how you feel. That's how you see if you really, really what you say you are. Don't fight nobody that's up and coming with you because he's still trying to figure out who he is. And just if he beat you, you beat him, that don't mean you gonna find out who you are. But somebody that been there, won on that stage and lost on that stage, I feel like that's the best way to see if you're there because that person might still be hungry and they know you hungry because you trying to take their spot.
Yeah,
So I feel like that'll be a good. I'm really not fond of it. Probably if I look into him, sometimes I got to look at the like, oh yeah, him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really fond of him though. But I feel like Andy Ruiz would be a great fighter.
yeah. What's your thoughts, Jack? Man, who you think should be next for Big Baby Anderson?
So I like the Ruiz fight, and that kind of ties into I know that I think for this fight or maybe for next fight they looked at Jared fighting like a Luis Ortiz maybe too. I know the money didn't end up working out on both sides, so I'm not behind the scenes, so I can't say oh he was offered a good deal, a bad deal. I don't well, obviously we don't really know that
Yeah.
per se, but that was a fight. So kind of that same level because obviously those two had a close fight. Ortiz a little older, but still could test Jared with his power, boxing ability, and things like that. But as far as Torres too, I know that he's been moving a little slower than Jared. I think part of that is because he was an Olympic silver medalist, so he fought John Love in the Olympics. But when they fought in like a World Championships a year and a half before that, Torres took a bad knockout loss in that fight. He was knocked out cold, so I think that's part of the reason Top Rank's kind of been building him a little bit slower. So I think they see obviously with his style, he's gonna kind of guy that might be there for a good time, not a long time. So you might want to try to kind of preserve that style and just
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
especially with the headgear off all the time now, see how he can adjust as a pro. But I think he's
yeah. Because
talented
he's
too. I
a
think Jared's got a higher ceiling with his boxing ability, size, and jab and stuff like that. But Torres is fun too.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, and
I
that's
got
what
one
I like.
real quick. What's the
Yeah.
guy that he prospect? I think he won silver medal. He was in the Olympics with Keyshawn now.
Andy
Uh,
Cruz. You talk about lightweight or a heavyweight?
yeah, heavyweight.
Oh, Jalilov, the guy from Uzbekistan.
I think that might.
Yeah, because that's who beat Torres in the Olympics. He's like a 6'6" southpaw, 6'7"
No,
southpaw.
no,
So,
no, no, no. I think
oh,
dude from America. He from America. He a prospect though. I want to say he a heavyweight. White guy, man, like black hair with a thick mustache.
That's
I'm gonna get his
Torres.
name.
yeah, I think you're thinking of Richard Torres, maybe then.
Yeah, I
That's who
think
you
you're thinking
seems like you might
Torres.
be describing.
Oh, that's who.
Yeah, big
Oh,
old
Yeah,
school. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's
he was in
Torres.
the
Yeah, yeah,
Olympics.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Silver
He was a
medalist.
rep- I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
know he
him.
got knocked out
Okay,
Okay,
that
see,
yeah,
I'll
bad
be
though.
telling you,
Yeah,
I'll be knowing. I just don't. It don't be.
mhm.
Yeah, I like
yeah. As
him.
soon as
I
you
like him.
said the
I don't think him.
Mustang, that's what I was
Yeah, I
like,
don't
that's
think him
Torres.
and Jared should fight each other right. Nah, no, no, nah, no, not now, not
Yeah,
now,
he built
not
him up
now.
a little more first.
Yeah, yeah, not
Yeah.
okay. He took it lost.
Back in the
Uh,
amateurs, before the
Oh, the
Olympics, but
amateurs.
yeah,
Okay,
back in the
okay,
amateurs.
okay,
But I think
okay.
that's kind of what's caused Top Rank to kind of be a little
Okay,
more
I got
cautious.
you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
can
He nice
definitely,
though. He all right. Yeah, he fight tonight too.
yeah, but
Okay,
yeah, you
okay.
can
Yeah, I
see
want
he
to see.
fights May 18th. He's got a just signed a fight for May 18th
Yeah,
with
cause he
that
been
who
moving
fights.
kind of slow, man.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
even
Well,
remember
stepping
the
up in
last
this
time
one.
he was fought.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's more style too because he's kind of what do you call it?
Aggressive.
It's not really just he just goes in head first. Like he
Okay,
really
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
protect himself well. Anybody with a big punch that catches him could probably hurt him. Honestly,
Yeah,
like what's happened to him in the Olympics. I didn't know that he had gotten knocked out. His chin was tested then, but you can see that with him because of his style and why they might be babying him.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, like I said, he admitted to that style that was not good for him in his last fight, and he said, "Look, I've been working on my footwork. He's been doing some Lomachenko type workouts, dancing, working out like they do in the Ukraine to try to get his foot speed and his hand speed right. And it looked to showcase that a little bit in his last fight. So I was like, if he could continue to work that way and get that part of his game right and not be a bruiser, then he'll have a little bit of longevity in the sport.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a fight though. That's a fight.
yeah,
And like he said, like he might be here for. What'd you say? What's the terminology for that? Short
Yeah.
time, not long time.
Yeah. Might be for a good time, not a long
Long
time. Yeah.
time.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's
That's it,
crazy
man.
because I'm like, I knew. I'm like, man. I'm like, I probably know what he's talking about. I just don't know his name, but I'm used to his face. I'm just used to his face and knowing he was. I know like that background, and then I ain't been fight for real. So I'm like, then y'all was like, that's, so yeah. I don't think that fight right. I don't think that's a good. And I think Jared, like him, I don't think that's a good fight right
Yeah, I
now.
think Jack's probably a little bit too athletic for him. To be honest,
Yeah,
he probably pops circles around the guy with his speed, and then, like, he's
hmm
way too athletic. But name wise, you could
they
probably
can
build
build it
something
up
in
though.
that type,
Just like,
to build it
just
up
like,
for
but
sure.
you were quick. You want to see stuff so quick because you was like, put about a doula and keep them like, nah, not
Yeah,
right
no, put
now.
them together now. I don't want to wait. When I
No,
see when you see something, you see it, and you're like, I don't want to wait 3 more years for this guy to develop when he should be now, right now. Put him in there with a Keystone, you know, uh, Davis now, bruh, and really test him because we
I ain't saying,
see
I,
talent in him. No
I
reason to
don't
wait.
say,
That's
I ain't
we talked
not,
about that being a problem with boxing. Waiting, just put those fights together, and
yeah,
let like Andy Cruz and Keyshawn Davis. We want to see that again. That was an Olympic thing. We definitely want to see it, regardless if Cruz has only fought 2 professional fights or not. We still know his level is up there with a Davis and them. So
we still
I think
also
just put
got to
them
talk
together.
the
No reason to
business
wait.
though. We got to also always remember it's a business and it's still a
Yeah,
build up.
absolutely.
So
All sports,
it ain't
at
like
the end of the day,
we
it is
we know
business.
we know them too. We know, see, like we love boxing. So us three, we might know them too. We might know their abilities, but the world don't know it yet. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they might throw them two in there. You got to think on the business side, but us as fans and us loving boxing and knowing boxing, it's like it makes sense to us, but it got to make sense to the world. and it don't make sense to the world, and the world don't know these guys. They going in the ring. Like, cause Keaton
Yeah,
still building his name.
yeah,
He still ain't, his name ain't that yet. He's not a brand yet. You get what I'm saying? And then, like you said, top ranked they fighters. So look how long it took for the world to notice Terrence Crawford. I knew Terrence
sure,
Crawford. You knew
sure.
Terrence Crawford. Jack most likely probably knew him and his capabilities, but look how the world to figure out who he
Yeah,
was.
yeah. Remember,
You know what
about
I'm saying?
what,
What he had to do,
10 years
and not
ago,
only that, what
or
he had to
yeah,
do for the world to figure out who he was. He had to be top
mhm.
ranked.
I mean, he had to beat Spence for the world to really know who he was, to be honest. And he had he unified
Yeah,
divisions before that. So it's like to not know him, but the world had to watch him just destroy Spence for them to go, oh man, this guy is good. Like just go
yeah.
back and watch it. But that's what comes with sports. But before we jump off here, man, because I don't want to take too much of your time, Jack, uh, I want you to give me your opinion. Boot signs with Mathurin, Eddie Hearns. My question is, who do they have for him?
That's an interesting question, but the one thing that I do like about that signing is I think Eddie Hearn will keep him active, and that's what I want to see with Boots.
Yes,
Me and
Yeah,
Spade has talked about. You
yes,
talked about building a brand up, bro.
yes.
Boots is one of those guys. You have Boots fighting, just you can. He's the kind of guy you can put him in the ring. You can gather all your friends, family, casual fans. You can say, "Watch this dude fight," and they'll appreciate it. You can't do that with every style in boxing. We might love certain styles. I love some of the pure boxers, even the Cubans. I love that style, but a lot of people will go to sleep watching that style that don't really understand what goes into it. But I love that for Boots. The opponents, I think it's going to be a little bit of a slow roll. I think he's going to get a homecoming fight in Philly, which could be a Cody Crowley for the mandatory. It could be
yeah. First pick.
Shakram Giasov, I think's the guy's name from Uzbekistan. But eventually, I think they'll build into the Conor Ben fight. And then he also has Madrimov at 154. He's got a bunch of guys over at 54. They do a
Uh,
cross promotion and get him in with a Virgil Ortiz at 54 eventually, maybe because
yeah,
they're both on the zone. But so I think you'll see the first fight might not be a big fight, but I think the Ben fight is a big fight. And I think Boots does certainly very well in that fight. And then I think after that, going up to 54 and collecting belts up there too. So I like the move.
now
I
the
like what
Mario
he said.
Barros
I
is
like what
Barros with Golden Boy
who,
Barrios is with PBC right now.
PVC. Okay, because I was
who
gonna
you
say I
say,
thought he
who you say, Jeff?
Mario Barros. I like him at
Oh, okay,
147.
okay.
I
Yeah,
fuck with, I like
yeah, he with
Barrios too,
PBC.
yeah.
But yeah, I like what he said though, because Eddie Hearns know how to build a fighter up.
Mhm.
That's why I like. He know how to like build Montana love up, but he
Hmm.
just the fights he couldn't accomplish when it was time. So I like
Yeah,
what you said because we ain't seen it today. But it was the reason when I'm like I like Eddie Hearns, but he know how to build and he know how to work with these fighters. But dude, is a great promoter. He a good promoter. Even though he put his face out there, whatever, his face is a good face to be out there. Like it ain't no, he's not no bullshit. He gonna get you the fight. Even after Montana Love did that qualification, he still got him another good fight. He just ain't me. He ain't what he was supposed to do. But yeah, dude, still the fighter. I'm glad you said that because I feel like he can take boost level to the next, like take it to the
yeah,
next
yeah.
level.
Give him the attention
Yeah.
that he needs. Because I thought forever he was with PVC, but he wasn't. He was signed
Mm,
with Showtime,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
he had a contract with Showtime, not PVC, and that's
mm.
why I was confused why he wasn't fighting Stan Onis. I'm like, why is he not fighting Stan Onis? Why is he not, on those PVC cards against Barrows and these guys? And then to come to find out, he had a contract with Showtime, not PVC. He was never under PVC. That was weird. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could actually not, would be on the same platform as people.
Yeah, I thought
I know you can
you
fight
just taught me
your
something.
opponent, but
I
I
ain't know
thought
that.
like, yeah. So that was confusing to me, but I was like, okay. Uh, but hey, man, before we jump off here, Jack, go ahead and tell everybody your the day you're fighting, man, where you're fighting at, the time, if we can catch you on, any type of channel we might be able to catch you on or anything like that, man.
Yeah, so I appreciate y'all once again, but it's going to be May 25th in Waltham, Massachusetts. I believe it's going to be at their high school, so it's just going to be an amateur show, but they're going to set it up pretty good. The Nolan brothers, as I said, they do a good job with their show, so they're going to take care of us and make it pretty cool. So I don't think there's going to be streaming for it, but I mean, I think I'm going to be able to record the fight and upload the fight, so people will be able to watch that after the fact too. So
Okay.
appreciate y'all for kind of letting me share this side of it. Like I said, when I'm on my own show, I don't like to So I'm one of those guys that I don't like to talk about it.
Yeah,
Like I like to kind of be about it. I like to kind of just lurk off in the distance, and then once I arrive, people will know I arrived. But I appreciate you guys letting me do this. A lot of people kind of talk themselves up more than kind of what they are. So I look at that and I'm like, well, I don't want to be one of those dudes. I kind of want to. I'll explain kind of what I'm going through, the training I'm doing, and stuff like that. But I kind of want to let my fighting do the talking, and that's what I plan on
Yeah,
doing May 25th.
sure. That's
hell
cool.
yeah, hell yeah.
Hey, before
Well,
he,
you know,
I gotta ask him something. You letting him
okay.
leave out too easy.
All right, go
Your
ahead, go
top
ahead.
five fighters right now
Pound for
before
pound,
you
top
leave.
five. Okay, I got you. Number one is Terrence Bud Crawford. It's been Terrence, and I remember the crazy thing is I remember I used to get criticized when I used to have Bud number one pound for pound back when like Canelo was undisputed at 168. I used to get so much crap for doing that,
Big
but
Spade. Yeah.
I just saw the skills he had. And I've had Errol. I always thought the world of Errol too. I actually picked Errol to win that fight. I was like 51-49, so it's not like I thought he was gonna wash. But I got Bud one. I got Inoue at number two. I think those are clearly the top two dudes in the sport right now. Three, I'd probably have to
Mhm.
go Usyk, just because moving up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, if he beats Fury, I think he solidifies himself there. And then I'd say Bivol, Beterbiev, and then Devin Haney would be my top six. So I kind of gave you six, but I think they
Okay.
all deserve to be in the top five. So I didn't want to leave one of them
Okay,
out.
that's
So
cool.
those would be my
Okay,
top
that's
guys
cool.
right now.
Yeah.
Nice,
Okay.
nice. I
Yeah.
like that list. I'm not big on Bivol or Usyk being pound for pound right now. I feel like Usyk he beat Joshua twice, but that's his only real big opponent at the heavyweight. Uh, t- Once he fights Fury, then that would give me a little bit more because I didn't wasn't impressed when he went to buy. I thought he did get knocked down in that fight. Thought the ref kind
Yeah.
of favored that low blow a little
That
too
body shot.
much. Yeah, it gave
Uh-huh.
him way too much time
Yeah.
to recover from it. But I just wasn't impressed with his antics and that also. So I don't like him being in a pound for pound and Bivol either because his last outing against Arthur, there was a guy Lyndon Arthur.
Lyndon Arthur,
Wasn't
yeah.
impressed with him there either, and I'm like, is it getting? Now I've watched him before Canelo, but I was like, is it getting too much hype from that Canelo fight? So to me, I think he still has to prove, but I think he's up there for sure. Love your list, but I would have to put right now. I would definitely have to put, in my opinion, David Benavidez in that pound for pound talk as far as top five. Devin Haney, I'd love because everybody sleeps on Devin, and they hate him so much they don't want to put him in that that conversation or pound for pound, but he definitely is, man, for sure.
Yeah, he's making
Uh,
things happen, so you gotta respect that for sure.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely. But hey, man, once again, man, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Jack, for coming on, man, and being a guest on the show. You
Appreciate you.
know, Big Spade, thank you for giving us some of your time today too, my guy. I know it's
Hmm.
Saturday. You're the workout king. So I know you're ready to go get active. Me, I'm gonna just cook, clean, and do some yard work, man, and finish my day out.
And
You know,
go subscribe too. So I have a new subscriber. Saddle ropes. I'm already knowing what it is. So you'll have a new subscriber, man. Keep.
hell yeah.
I'm gonna watch your show, Jack. When I'm at work, I'm gonna put the phone in the pocket. Listen to the
Yeah,
show, man. That's what I do
yeah, yeah.
anyway.
It's
So
a
yeah.
great show to catch guys. Like I said, Jack Kelly, you can catch him on Catch and Counter. Great. It's on YouTube, man. He usually does, usually about a weekly show. I think you guys do.
Yeah, Friday nights
And,
for the most part.
I usually try to catch you right after my show. I usually try to jump over and catch you guys if I can. I like catching you live because they interact with you. He's kind of teaching us about the live thing, man. Watching them live is kind of teaching me, how we want to do our live show. So I do kind of steal some things, and when I watch, I learn, and some things like some of the conversations you had about, uh, you know, what do they call it, fantasy fights. I
Mhm.
love that part that you guys did. I think about 3 shows ago talked about who's your fantasy fights if this happened or that. That was really cool, something different to bring in. But definitely catch Jack and his guys on that. A great thing to catch, and then like always keep up with me and Big Spade, and hopefully we'll have Jack on in the future, man.
Yes,
He's
sir.
always open invitation to the show, and thank you guys, man, once again, Bourbon and Boxing. My
Big
guy,
Spade. I'm over
yeah.
here. You was doing the introduction so cool. The outro. I'm like, woo. But yeah, Big Spade, man. Like, subscribe, comment. You already know, man. Show us love, support, man. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. All right, guys, man. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your Saturday, man. Enjoy the fights tonight, man.